Hello everyone, welcome back to the sea-trout channel. Today we're going to have a look at the Bombarda mini lure setup. Let's go. First off, we'll have a look at the Bombardas themselves. As you can see, the float closest is straight out of the packet. Furthest float away is in a fixed piece of wire put through, attached to two swivels. I'm going to demonstrate why I fix it off like that. As you can see here, thread it through some braid and attach the Bombarda as per recommendation, free running. The problem with a free running Bombarda is if, for example, you stop the line and the retrieve, top ends to the rod tip, what's going to happen is the Bombarda is just going to slide back up our line and give us a big pile of slack. You're not going to pick up many bites with a complete slack line like that. So I'm going to show you now how I attach a piece of wire through to fix the Bombarda and to stop it sliding back up the braided main line. Sure, most anglers are aware and I've come across these horrible nasty wire traces for pike. They're absolutely unsuitable for pike fishing, but for smaller fish such as sea trout, they have a purpose, and I'm going to show you now what we do with it. First off, to take off a snap link, like so. That gives us wire lip bend. You need to do is just flatten this down slightly, the wire loop, and then what we're going to do is pass that piece of wire through, right up through to the top of our Bombarda, pass it down through the bottom end of the float. Once you have the wire trace pushed through the float, then what you do is floats themselves come with rubber beads. Slide the rubber beads through on the little two ends of the lip there. Now we'll have our two rubber beads attached onto the piece of wire. It's time to clip back on a little link. Now you can see the Bombarda set up. There you go. There'll be no give whatsoever in that. It's a fixed float, and what you're going to find is you're going to be able to feel bites. You're not going to be able to feel the bites with a slack line if the Bombardas run 3 or 4 feet back up your main braided line. Anyway, that's how we attach the float on. Show you now what we do next step. Next off, you want around 4 foot of a leader. Why it's important to shorten the leader down to about 4 foot as opposed to maybe a 6 or 7 foot leader when you're using just flags with the Bombardas is when you're casting small lures, what you'll find is the weight of them will start dragging and creating air resistance. So that's going to let your Bombarda speed off in front and your lure pull behind, and you're asking for Tangle City. So I'd really recommend around a 4 foot leader. Keep it pretty short. Pull off 4 foot of whatever you're using, monofilament or fluorocarbon. I'm just using this extra thick yellow stuff for videoing purposes. Once you've got that done, then what you want to do is tie your dropper. Again, if you're looking how to do this, check out my fixed dropper rig in one of the previous videos. It's pretty simple to do. So tie yourself off a dropper on that. Again, always say from our dropper not coming off, at least leave good 50 centimeters down to we want our lure. Have we look now at what lures we should use. For this rig, you really have to use ultralight lures, so I highly recommend not going above 4 gram limit. That's what you're talking. Small lures like small 4 gram Hansen stripper, 00 size map Cyclops, even things like the old original 4 gram Tobies. These aren't too heavy. Why you don't want to go, again it comes down to that drag thing. If you have any more than 3 or 4 gram there, what's going to happen is you're going to create a heavy drag, and the float's just going to shoot on ahead in front of the lures and give you really bad tangles. So we'll keep the lures light. As we spin bait dial is quite effective too. Again, the Hansen stripper in the black and red. Again, double O web cyclop. Just keep the lures small. Small spoons you'll find will generally be the most effective. As for flies, it's whatever takes your fancy at this time of year with flies. I recommend using whites, pinks. These really catch the fish's eye at the early part of the year. But again, flies, as long as it's bright, it's just down to the angler's preference, what he wishes to use, or she wishes to use in any instance. Right, let's tie it all together and see how it goes. Okay, so here's the finished rig. We've attached their small lure. In this instance, we've went along the Mix Cyclops 00. Really use the smallest wee ball bearing swivels you can find for attaching these lures on. I know it's a bit awkward nipping and tying different lures every time you want to change lures, but with these smaller lures the tolerance is very low in how they can actually work, so to maintain the best movement in the water, just attach a wee small ball bearing swivel to them. Coming back up, they're tied on there 50 centimeters or so up the line. Come to a dropper. Here I've just attached off nice pink shrimp representation. Can't go wrong with pink in the early part of the season, which we're coming into very soon. Then on up from our dropper, I have our fixed Bombarda. As you can see, this whole rig is far better for picking up bites. There is no movement on top of our Bombarda. Just attach off of that swivel. They're braided mainly. If you look here, this Bombarda is clear, but I have another one which is slightly more opaque. What you want to do is take the gleam off a brand new Bombarda float and leave it like this. This is a much more camouflaged pattern for a fish. And I'll pick this up, it doesn't gleam the sunlight up as much as the brand new ones. A bit more opaqueness tends to make it more camouflage. That's a tip. And the second tip is really keep the lures light. Nothing over 4 grams. 5 grams is the top maximum, or you'll end up with nothing but tangles all day. Hope you find how to tie this wee rig up interesting. If you like the content, give me a thumbs up, and if you can, subscribe to the channel. It really helps grow it for me. Thanks a lot, everyone. Tight lines.